What's up, guys? We're back. How we doing? Space Cadet Brian here. Hope you've been doing well. I know it's been a minute since I've been on here, but I played the game a ton, put out my review. I hope that you appreciated it. Again, that was just my opinions. Since then, there's been a whole lot of just people playing the game, people having opinions on the game, and I still stand by my official review. I eventually, so when I made my initial review, I think I had about 130 hours into the game. I kept playing, and I ended up getting to about 250, 260-ish hours before I eventually kind of got done, because I'd completed everything. I had went to New Game Plus. I decided that I didn't want to lose everything. Spoiler alert, if you go New Game Plus, by the way, spoiler alert, you lose everything because you enter a new universe, blah, blah, blah. I didn't feel like giving up my millions of credits, my cool starship, my whole star system explored, my relationship, with all the people that I've made and all that kind of stuff. I didn't want to start over. I wanted to continue to stay in this universe that I had explored. But yeah, I completed pretty much everything. I think I've probably completed about 95, 98% of all the quests, the side quests I explored. I explored every single star system, so I went to every star system in the Starfield galaxy. I tried to find every unique location. I tried to complete every quest. I think I had maybe like 8 unsolved quests. There were just little side, it wasn't a faction thing. It was little activities, and then there was maybe just 5 or 6 of them left. And I was just like, you know what? I think I'm good. So eventually I did get bored after playing the game for, approximately 250 hours. So call it 10 days worth of playtime. I did finally get a little bit bored. I took some time off. But here we are. We are back. I've got a little bit of a background. I'm a big football fan. I've got my framed Deebo Samuel signed jersey back up behind there. Go Niners. Might see my dog in the background. I didn't feel like putting up the blue sheet behind me. I figured this is a little bit easier just for everything. So what you're watching here, what we're here to talk about is how to improve the game. I still believe this game is like an 8, 9 out of 10 if it's the kind of game that you want. It's not for everybody. Some people don't like it. Some people love it. I love it. I got 250 hours of enjoyment out of it before I decided to take a little bit of time off. And I've been playing some other games. I've been doing some thinking. I've heard some criticisms, understand the criticisms. And I want to talk about what they can do. How would I fix this game? How would I improve this game? Again, love the game. But no game is above criticism. Even the best games of all time aren't quite perfect. And best games of all time, we're talking like Skyrim, Red Dead Redemption 2, some of the legit best games of all time. So what you're watching here as we have this conversation, this is just a little bit of gameplay that I took the other day. I popped on, I played about 3 hours. I recorded just myself running around, streamed it, recorded it, and chopped it up last night into about an hour's worth of footage, just so we can kind of, watch me running around yesterday and playing. But the game isn't perfect. I think I've mentioned that. There's definitely things that could be improved. So I've got my handy dandy notes up here, and we're just going to talk about some of the ways that they can improve this game to keep it fun to play and keep that magic going once you get past the basic stuff. So I've got a list of things, and the cool thing and the thing that I do really like about this is that Bethesda, what they've done here is they've created a great framework to work with in this game, in the sense that it doesn't have to be perfect right now. You know, obviously we want the game to be as good as possible, and I do think the game is really good. But there are a few things that they could do to improve it. The good news is that they're going to be doing updates consistently, so we're going to be getting updates. There's going to be a modding community out there that's going to provide mods. The creation mod system should be getting released sometime early 2024. I'm recording this at the very end of December. The game's been out a solid 3 months now. A lot of people, if you're getting into it and this is your first time, because I know a lot of people got like Xboxes for Christmas, I hope that you enjoy the game. Again, think of it as like a space exploration, action, adventure kind of game. And I think you'll really enjoy it. It's a fun game. There's a lot in this game to do. Literally dozens and dozens, if not hundreds of hours of quests and places to explore and all that kind of stuff. But ways that they can improve the game. So the way I see it is there's going to be downloadable content, so DLC. There's going to be expansions. They've already said that they're going to do multiple expansions. If you did the pre-order big bundle or whatever, then you'll already have that whenever that drops. I think it's called like Shattered Space. I ended up getting that extended for the ultimate thing, so whenever that comes out, I'll be getting that. So we've got DLC, downloadable content, we've got expansions, we've got mods, and we've got updates. So there's at least 4 different ways that Bethesda and the community can come in here and expand this game and make it even better. It is, in a lot of ways, an unfinished canvas. And I think that that's a cool thing. Because when you look at the star system, and you'll probably see it a couple times throughout this video, most of the content, storyline, handcrafted locations, all that kind of stuff, is in that kind of like first third of the settled systems. That's kind of the lower tier of levels. So if you look at it, you start out in the Sol system, and then you go to the Alpha Centauri system and the Volley system, stuff like that. A lot of those star systems are leveled in the 1, 5, 10, 15 kind of level range, and those are like the tiers of enemies and where the game kind of expects you to be. My character here, by the way, is level 69. Nice. He's actually level 68, and then I'll level up during this gameplay. So a level 69 character, again, been playing a lot. I didn't do any kind of crazy XP farm or anything to try and make him some ridiculous level. It was just me playing the game. But yeah, so a lot of that, a lot of the quests, a lot of the handcrafted content, a lot of the really interesting storylines, those are in the first third, like the systems that are ranked up to like level like 30 or so. I'm really hoping that the systems that are like in that 30 to 75 range, those systems, that's like a blank canvas where we can add a lot of content. There's 100 star systems. If I remember correctly, I think there's actually like 118. There's over 100 star systems. There's literally over 1,000 planets and moons combined that you can land on. And that's a lot of locations where you can put more stuff. So we're going to talk about little things that they can do. And I'm going to try and break this down into things that I think are going to be easy to fix. And then some things that'll probably be more difficult to fix. So you can see they're level 68. So the first thing is just variety of locations. So one of the things that I think a lot of people complained about, and rightly complained about, was that some of the locations that you end up going to, they end up getting a little bit repetitive. You go out there and you find a science outpost, and then you find an abandoned mining facility, and then you find like a science facility, and then you find like a mining colony. And when you see one, you end up realizing that a lot of them, it's kind of like the same. I don't know exactly how many of these kind of generic locations there are, but it seems like they basically built about 15, maybe 20 of these. And then what they'll do is when you land in when you get to a star system, they'll populate those 15 or 20 different locations, and they'll spawn them randomly through their procedural generation on the different planets and moons, depending on, the types of planets and the types of moons. So, if it's a gas giant, obviously you can't land there. It's not going to populate anything. But like a moon that has like a temperate place where there's like flora and fauna, maybe that'll have, 3-4 different locations there, because that's an easy place for people to inhabit and to build different outposts and facilities. So with that being said, if you're gonna have a lot of these repeatable kind of locations, it does get a little boring when you're like, cool, like, I'm glad I'm seeing this new star system, but I've already seen this abandoned science outpost, and it looks like the exact same one. In fact, it is the exact same one as I've already seen, 3-4 times. And like this facility right here that I'm going for, I know this exact layout. I know where the bad guys are. And that does kind of suck a little bit, because the first time you go in, awesome, this is cool, this is a new facility, what's around this corner? But once you've done it like 3-4 times, it's like, all right, I know where every bad guy is going to be. I know where every box is going to be. So they need to add in, and the good thing about this is an easy one for DLC or expansions or mods, is literally just like make more locations. Have an expansion pack where I'm not going to like tell you to like, buy or not buy something, but say that you do like a paid creation mod, and it's like, hey, $5 for 10 more locations that can spawn. And now you have 10 new locations that can spawn and get added into that rotation of 15 or 20. So now instead of 15 or 20, you've got 25 or 30 different locations. You could do that as a DLC. You could do that with the modding community, where the modding community can be like, hey, we created this really cool outpost, and it's going to spawn at random in these types of planets. So that's one thing that I think would be really good, is just more variety of locations. Because again, these locations, like, they're great, but there's not. And there is a little bit of like magic missing in these locations, that it's really cool the first time you go through there. But again, once you've been in there and you've been in there a couple times, they look the same. And there's not always necessarily, in these generic kind of outposts, they don't usually have a cool story that they tell. And that's one thing that Bethesda is typically really good at, is telling a story with their environment at all these different locations. Now, what I will say is that at the more handcrafted, that have the stories and stuff, those typically will have a cool story behind them. So when you're looking around and exploring, you're not necessarily just looking for, science outpost, but instead, if you see like John Smith's farm, if it's a specific named location, the named locations are what I always found was the best thing to look for. Those always have your quests, your cool stories, your ambient kind of storytelling, your environmental storytelling, and all that good stuff. So if you want to have fun exploring, look for the named locations. Because these generic locations, they're generic, they end up getting repeated, and they just kind of get populated in the system, depending on the different algorithms. So it's kind of like number one is just more locations. Again, DLC, expansions, mods, always that you can add more locations, and generic locations as well as handcrafted. I don't mind there just being generic science outposts, on different moons and stuff, or like different mining facilities, abandoned mining facility or whatever on these different moons, because it does make sense to have them. I just want a little more variety. So when I do get there, it's like, oh, cool. I don't think I've explored this one yet. You know, I want a little bit of mystery of the outpost. I don't want the exact same floor plan. So that's an easy fix. You know, it's literally just, hey, give us more locations that can auto-populate. Cool. The next thing that I have listed on here, I personally think this is something that isn't going to be too hard to fix. I'm going to shift this way. Better enemy AI, honestly. I think we need to have better enemy AI. The AI is very simple. It doesn't always respond. Sometimes it's dumb. I want the AI to, like, first off, like, actually shoot me. If you're going to be an enemy, like, actually shoot at me. Sometimes I feel like half of them are shooting at you and half of them don't. Also, I want them to, like, make even just basic tactical maneuvers. So, you know, like, make it so that when there's more than one guy, they, like, take cover and then they try and flank you. I wouldn't think it would be too hard to program in an enemy AI upgrade where you get the enemy when there's more than one to where they take cover, they move from cover to cover, and then they try and flank you and take turns firing at you as they're moving. So, you know, like covering fire, they do covering fire. As they're covering fire, one of them hops to another location and then he crouches, and then you're getting shot at by the other guy. Now he's giving covering fire and this guy tries flanking you from the other direction. And this is something that I think should be included in the difficulty slider. I think if you're a beginner, it makes sense to have a very kind of dumb, simple AI if you want to put that on easy. But on the other hand, hey, if I'm getting a little bit bored because my level 70 badass, like, look at him. He was just standing there doing nothing. Right there, doing nothing, just standing there. He was standing there looking down, even though I just killed the guy. And I'm standing right in front of him. So improve the AI. I think that this is something that should be included in the difficulty slider. The difficulty slider, I don't just want it to be like how big is the enemy health bar. I want it to be how smart is the enemy's combat AI. So improve the enemy AI. Another thing that I think should be done, and like Skyrim did this, if I remember correctly, is different combat styles. So give me like a crouch sniper, give me a berserker, give me like, you know, like a guy who bounces around, give me like a jetpack guy who just like boosts around constantly and like shoots and boosts to different locations, shoots, boosts, like give me different types of enemy combat variety, like different combat styles of enemies. And I think it would also make sense where like, hey, you know, your pirates and your Crimson Fleet are going to fight you different than the Varun, are going to fight you different than the Spacers, are going to fight you different than, you know, your Ecliptic mercenaries. So I want to see a little bit, a couple different types of combat. Give me some enemy combat and improve the enemy AI. Put it on a slider, a difficulty slider. Again, I think this is something that should be included in a future update. To me, not being a programmer, I do think this is something that they should be able to add. Moving on a little bit, the next thing is going to be better melee. I don't know why, and this honestly is probably one of the more frustrating things, is I don't understand why in Starfield they couldn't use some of their pre-made assets from other games. Like, you use the creation engine, and by the way, if the graphics don't look all that good, it's because I just have to bring this up because I'm looking at my screen and I'm like, that doesn't look too great. It's basically just because of the multiple layers of compression. I'm not a very good video editor, so I play the game, I stream it to my laptop, I do record screen on the laptop, and then I take that and then I condense it into a video, and then I cut that video down, I crop that video into my background video that I'm playing here, and then that's going on to what I'm recording right now. So the reason why the video doesn't look incredible is quite simply because there's like 4 layers of compression going on, because I'm a very, very noob in terms of video editing. But anyways, tangent there. Why didn't they just copy paste the Skyrim animations? Like, it seems to me like in Starfield, there's basically like the wakizashi, like the knife, the shank knife is like yeah, 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 yeah. It's like 2 or 3 moves. You had in Skyrim all these different types of animations and kill moves and all that stuff. And why couldn't you just copy paste it? It literally just didn't make any sense to me why they couldn't just copy and paste the melee animations to give us better melee animations. Tangent off of that is why is there no melee stealth kill moves? Like in Starfield or in Skyrim, literally like you could sneak up on somebody with a dagger, come up behind them, put their mouth and slit their throat. Or like, you know, come up behind them and give them like you had stealth melee kill moves. Why didn't they just copy paste that into Starfield? I don't understand. It's almost the same engine. It just didn't make sense to me. Like why could they not do this? So just a little bit of a rant there. And this is what I'm saying is the melee could be better. The melee feels okay. It's not super satisfying. It would feel so much better if you literally just added in all of the Skyrim melee variation types of the different attack moves, you know, where you don't just have like hack, hack, stab, but you've got this hack, the big stack, the power hack. You know, instead of having like 3 different moves, you've got 6 or 7 moves, plus a stealth kill move, or 2, and do it for the different types of weapons. So, and again, like in this game, you've literally got dagger, short sword, and axe. Like, why would it be so hard not to use the dagger, short sword, and axe melee animations from Skyrim in this game? I don't know. I feel like that's something that, again, they should be able to add in an update. Like, that's the AI and the melee, that should be something that's included in a future update. Another thing that I think needs to be improved in terms of the melee combat is the melee weapon tiers and the melee weapon modifications. So on all your like rifles and pistols and rocket launchers and all that kind of stuff, on all your guns, you can modify them. You know, you can get an extended magazine, you can get a short magazine, you can change the grip, you can do a tactical grip, you can do a super comfortable grip, you can do a long stock, a short stock, a long barrel, a short barrel, a scope, a red dot, a long scope, a laser, no laser. You can change the internals from semi-automatic to fully automatic. You can make it high velocity, high power. There's like 5 to 8 different type of modifications you can do for all these different guns, which is awesome, and I love that, and I appreciate it, and I invest into that skill because I think it's fun. But why can't you do anything to the melee weapons? Like you tell me you can't give me a difference of like, hey, I want this type of, you know, metal on the blade. I want this type of grip on the handle that increases my like attack speed. Or like, you know, my attack power. I want, you know, like serrated edges versus a straight edge, so I apply bleed damage. Like, this is just off the top of my head, but, you know, why can't we change, like, the grip? At the very least, we should be able to change, like, the grips, the edge, and the blade material. I mean, at the very least, that's, like, how every knife works is, you know, give me an option of, like, straight edge versus a serrated edge. Give me an option of, you know, like, a smooth grip for like faster attack or a power grip for a stronger attack. You know, give me different type of blade options. Also tiers. Why is it that all of your guns, again, have your basic gun, your calibrated, your refined, and your advanced? Like CRAS, that's how I always remember it. Calibrated, refined, advanced, and then with armor you have superior. Why are there no superior weapons? There's no superior weapons, but there's superior armor. And there's not even tiers on the melee stuff. It's like, it's such a dumb cap on the amount of damage that you can do with melee weapons. Like this freaking rifle that I'm using right now, this is the the Varun Inflictor. It's like a plasma rifle. Dude, I have this thing souped up. It's doing like, I don't remember exactly, but it's like 600 damage like per shot. Whereas if I get a Wakizashi, it's like 80 damage per slice is the best I can do. That's going to take me forever against a high level enemy. Why can't I make these improvements? So give me weapon tiers, give me weapon mods, and give me some different animations and some stealth kill moves with the melee. That's how you improve melee. Also, tying in with the like blades and axes, you gotta make the hand-to-hand better. And I have a very, very simple solution on how to make hand-to-hand combat actually effective. Brass knuckles. There you go. Add brass knuckles and then give it different types of, again, give it tiers and give it mods. You know? Give it so that you got brass knuckles that do damage, and then on top of that, you can modify them so they do shock damage, they do fire damage, they do corrosive like radiation damage. You know, give me like tiers of like brass knuckles, and you know, make it usable. So again, these are things where it just feels like how did we miss this once we started playing the game. And again, I love the game, but these are ways that they should be able to fix the game and improve it. All right, so enemy AI, variety in combat styles, more locations, more handcrafted locations, better melee, stealth kills. Moving on from stealth kills, better stealth. It seems to me like the stealth in this game isn't all that great. I did notice that one of the things that people brought up, and it kind of makes sense, is that whenever you are sneaking around in a place when you don't need your spacesuit, if you're still wearing your spacesuit, it makes you easier to detect. That makes sense, but it's still kind of dumb. It's kind of dumb. Yeah, and here you can see I'm just changing my outfit just because I'm like, this guy looks cooler and I want a different look. I don't feel like looking like Han Solo. I want to look like this dude now. But anyways, so better stealth. They need to make stealth make more sense. I don't know how you do that exactly, but you know, it would make sense. Again, this is something where you can improve the AI. Give them an actual like vision thing where they have vision, make it so that their hearing is more accurate, maybe a little bit more forgiving. Maybe make an obvious tip on one of those loading screens it's really hard to sneak around while wearing a full spacesuit. Like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Oh yeah, the weapon. See, look at all these weapon upgrades I can do. Yeah, but for some reason can't do that to a bladed weapon. Makes 0 sense, but anyways. So yeah, like better stealth, improve the stealth, and again, stealth kill moves. I want the remember the kill cam? It was in Skyrim, it was in Fallout. The kill cam, you know, when you get that one like slow motion, like the head explodes, they go limp. Bring back the kill cam. Like that'd be a really fun update. You know, just add the kill cam back. And again, it doesn't have to be all the time, but maybe like, you know, 1 out of every like 5 or 10, like, you know, finishers. Every 5 or 10 finishers, you get a cool kill move. Kind of like they did in like Fallout and Skyrim. So better stealth. All right. Transitioning a little bit into the graphics. I personally think that Starfield is a beautiful game. I think the landscapes, the planets and stuff, the flying through space is just visually, it's visually stunning. Absolutely beautiful. However, some of the NPCs, specifically the NPC faces, and a lot of these NPCs in the city, they just look like total ass. I don't know how they ended up doing it, but it has something to do with the shading that makes the NPCs just like, it's like they have jagged edges along the shadow lines. Their facial texturing just looks terrible. I don't remember who it was exactly. It may have been Camelworks. Shout out Camelworks. He had a great video on how to improve the game as well, which I definitely recommend. But he was saying, like, how hard can it be to just get every single one of your 400 employees to spend 1 hour on a Thursday and say, hey, everyone, we're going to design one NPC. So Thursday, 10 a.m., everybody is going to spend 1 hour designing an NPC and then just bloop, drop it in the city. I don't know how many NPCs there are, like, wandering around, between New Atlantis and Aquila and Neon and the different outposts. But I feel if you had, 400, handmade NPCs, just visually, it would make them look so much better. And I don't know what it is, but something to do with the graphic, like the shading that they do and the lighting system just hits some of those NPCs and they just look so bad. But then you see like Sarah and Andrasia and it's like, they're beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Beautiful up close, beautiful from a distance. But for some reason, some of these NPCs, they just look like these bug-eyed weirdos with like the weirdest like cardboard paper skin tone, and it's just odd. And again, I don't know if that's a lighting thing or if that's something where you do I don't know if that would be a lighting change or if that would be a, hey, let's get the whole team to like, repopulate the game with like handcrafted NPC faces. But I feel like that's something that would make a big difference just in terms of it feeling like a real world. Because half these people in this game just look like aliens wandering around. But yeah. Anyways, so the next thing is just better abilities and skill balancing. And I think part of this is just better definitions. So when something says like a chance, a improved chance, I don't know what that means. I don't know what a chance or a small chance means. If it's like a 5% chance, a 1% chance, a 20% chance, those are all chances, but they're not specific. So give me more specific details in terms of what these skills, these abilities actually do. Little random complaint here. You can see I have to run around Neon to like 5 different shops here to offload some of my gear. And the reason is because, and this is one of my complaints that I have later down the list, they don't have enough money. When I have a gun and every gun that I'm trying to sell is like $4,000 to $6,000 in value, you having $12,000 does not help me. So give the NPCs more money. I don't know how you would do that. I think there's definitely... It could be real easy. You could have a leveling system in terms of the... see, I'm having to like buy ammo here in order to like offload more of my gear because I've got so much weight. I've got so much cargo in my ship that I'm having to buy ammo in order to get my vendor to have more money so that I can sell more of these guns to offload the weight. And it's just... It works good on the low end, but then like some of these guns are like 9,000 credits and he's got 12. And then the only way for him to have more credits is for me to buy ammo, but I've already got like 5,000 ammo. So again, like, how about you give him $50,000 as a max, or give me like a leveling system where not only does your commerce skill increase the amount of, it decreases what you pay and it increases what you get, but it also increases how much money the vendor has, Maybe now every time you level it, it increases the vendor credits by 5,000 credits, or it increases the vendor credits by 10,000 credits. So now, or maybe it's incremental. So it's like 1,000 more credits the first time, 5,000 the next time, 10,000 the next time. 20,000 the final time. So by the time you've leveled up your commerce skill, not only are you getting more for your sales and paying less for what you buy, but you've also leveled it up so that now the vendors all have an extra 26,000 additional credits for where you can sell stuff. And, if I was walking around and instead of having 10,000, they've got 40,000, it's not perfect, but, that's like 3 times as much money. So the vendors just need more credits. And again, that's something that would be, in my opinion, a really easy update. So these are all just easy things that we can do. Again, these are all easy fixes. And Bethesda, if you're watching, I know you're not, but I hope you are. Remember, this is a place out of love. Love. I've been playing these games since Morrowind. I love Bethesda. But yeah, these are ways to improve the game. So yeah, skill balancing, better definitions. The next thing is more weapon variety. I think there's a decent amount of weapons. However, there's definitely some missing. So for example, when it comes to like ballistic weapons, so that your rifles, you got a good amount of them. You've got 3, 4, 5, 6 different types of pistols. Then you've got multiple types of like submachine guns, and then other types of like rifles. Then you've got long rifles. You've got, I want to say like 10 different ballistic weapons. Not bad. Get to lasers and you've got like half that. Get to particle weapons and it's like 4. It's literally like Nova Light pistol. And then you've got the Big Bang shotgun. And then you've got the Varun pistol and the Varun rifle. That's it. So particle guns, which are the best, there's only 4. There should be more. I just want more weapons. And again, this could be a DLC. This could be a mod. This could be an update. This could be in the expansion. A lot of the times Bethesda adds weapons and expansions. So that's definitely an option. But, it's like, give me more weapons. Also, same thing with melee. Like, cool. So there's the Rip Shank. There's the axe. There's a little Tanto, and then there's a Wakizashi, and then there's like a little like UC Cutlass. That's it. It's like 5 or 6 melee weapons. That's just not enough, man. Like, give me a katana, give me brass knuckles, give me a baseball bat. Like just adding a couple of those things, and then again make them moddable. And then give them tiers, like weapon tiers, just like you did with all the firearms. And now you've got a much better melee experience. So, again, just some things you can do. More weapon variety and quality tiers. So, good stuff. Next thing is more dynamic quests. So, like this one right here that I'm doing. This is just a random outpost that I landed at on one of these high-level planets. And this lady here is like, I'm so sad. Look at my sad face. These spacers. They're just they're harassing us. And, oh, I had a good feeling about you. Thank you so much. I'm happy now because you're going to go clear the skies of the spacers. And it's just like, it's a generic quest. Bad guy's harassing me. Go take care of the bad guy. Like, all right. I got you. So here we go. I'm going to take off. I'm going to fly up into space. Take care of the bad guys. Go back. Thank you so much. I don't mind these generic filler quests. I just, yeah. This isn't even a complaint. This is just, here's an example of a generic, randomly generated quest that I got from a randomly generated science outpost on a planet that I visited. And there's not really anything special. This is kind of more of just like a, hey, here's a 5-10 minute filler thing that'll keep you entertained. And don't get me wrong, it does. Like, this is fun. Like, I'm going out here, and then I'm like, oh, cool. Like, hey, how about I board this guy and I take him out from inside, and then I steal their ship. Because it's fun. This is fun. How many games do you get to do this on? Where you can freaking land on a planet, somebody asks you for help, you fly up there, you shoot out 2-3 ships, and then you see the last one, it's a high-level ship, take out their engines, board, clear the ship. It's freaking awesome. But it is a generic kind of quest. Alright, where was I? More dynamic quests. So yeah, again, I want more of the handcrafted quests. I think that that's where Starfield was always, or not Starfield, but yes, Starfield, but also just Bethesda in general were always at their best with the handcrafted quests. You know, where it's not just, hey, go pick up this thing here. It's, you know, you have a full voiced, interesting story. And it goes along with like multiple different things along the way. So just give me more quests. The factions in Starfield were really good, but it was also like, hey, there's only 4 factions that you can join. And they're solid, but the 4 factions, it was like a dozen, like 10 or a dozen missions per faction. And there's 4 of them. So there's like 40 missions, not counting the main quest. And then the main quest is probably like, I don't know, a dozen. So you've got, you know, call it 50. And there's a lot of side quests and a lot of activities that turn into side quests. But when you look at that, made $4,000. But when you look at Starfield compared to some of the other Bethesda games, I feel like other Bethesda games had a lot more in terms of the handcrafted actual storylines. So just give me more of that. Give me more faction quests. Give me more of all that kind of stuff. Because it's fun. And that, I think, is what Bethesda is best at, is when they have those handcrafted stories. All right. Another kind of random thing that I was thinking about is give the NPCs in cities a schedule. It seems to me like a lot of the NPCs in the cities just kind of like wander around like zombies, and they don't have any type of schedule. And if you remember like Skyrim and Fallout, people, they would go to bed at night, and then in the morning they would get up, and then they would go to their work or their job or wherever their kind of like assignment was, and they would go do that for the day. You know, they would go to the shop and they would sell the garlic or whatever it is that they were selling. And then at the end of the day, they would close up their shop, and then they would go to the bar. And then they would hang out at the bar, and they would drink their ale, and they would talk with all the other people in the city. And then the bard would show up, and he would start singing a song, and people would start dancing, and the servers were serving food. And then everything, you know, eventually the night kind of died down, and then they went home and they went to bed and they slept. And then they did it the next day. In Starfield, it's like the people just like wander around like zombies for eternity, not doing anything. They're just kind of wandering. It's the same people to shop 24/7. It's like this guy never closes shop. He never gets time off. He never goes home. He never eats. He never sleeps. He never poops. It's like all the NPCs are just kind of like zombies. And I think that's one thing that would be really cool. I don't necessarily know how you would do that, especially because it feels like there's a limited number of housing. Because like in Skyrim, there was all these houses that were in each of the cities, and each of those like little houses or whatever, that was that specific person's house. They would go there at night. Like they had their assigned sleeping spot. In Starfield, they don't have all these assigned places. Now they do have large buildings, right? And they have large buildings where you can't access all the floors. So I could totally understand where it's like, hey, you can't go into every person's house, but at the end of the day, you know, it gets dark out. They close up the shop. They go over to that big apartment building. They go inside, and then they're there for the night. Like that would feel more realistic. And I do feel like that is something that you could do. Would it be a little bit annoying because now you can't necessarily, like buy stuff in the middle of the night? Like, yeah, but at the same time, just like wait. Granted, the waiting in here is ridiculous, and they need to speed up the wait time, because now it's like, if you want to wait 24 hours, it takes a fucking minute, and it should take like 10, 15 seconds where you click wait and boop, 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 boop. There you go. You've waited for a day. Now you're ready, or you've waited 8 hours. Now the shop is open. So make the waiting faster. Yeah, and then give the NPCs a schedule like Skyrim and Fallout. Makes it more realistic. All right. I'm probably going to pick up a little bit here because of the time. More late game content. So again, I expect this is something that we'll be able to get with like DLC, expansions, mods. But again, the first like 35 levels or so of the game, there's a whole lot of content. That first like quarter, third of the star map. That other like 70% of the star map though is really empty. And I want to see that get like filled up. And honestly, I'm okay if it fills up over the next year or two. You get 2, 3, 4 expansions, then you add in like a dozen. Like if you add in another 10 or so like major, you know, again, a few like major cities or at least major outposts like further down the system. Some high level content, because it does get pretty easy. And again, if most of the stuff is in that like level 35 and under, it's not as fun going and doing the procedurally generated generic quests at the high level planets. Next thing is faster travel for exploring. Exploring is a little bit boring. And I think there's a couple ways to do it. One of them is with an external form of transportation, so like a Land Rover or like a land buggy, or I had the idea of like a hover bike that you could like pack up, so you would carry like a little like 2-pound like hover bike, and then you could equip it, and then you'd like pop up and you would like, you know, fly around on your little like hover razor or whatever, your little like hover little like hover scooter. So that was kind of an idea of mine that I thought would be kind of fun, and modders will probably do this. I do believe that there's probably an issue with like the draw distance, and that's why we don't have that. But another thing you could do is just improve the boost pack speed and running speed. So you could make running speed part of the fitness skill, where it's not only do you have more cardio, but you can run faster. Maybe you can increase your run speed by like 10 or 20%. I think if you increase the run speed by 20%, and like sprinting by 20 or 30%, that could make a huge difference. And then if you add on to that, like not just boost up, but like boost forward and make that a significant boost to go with your boost skill, I think that would make getting through the terrain feel a lot faster, and that would help it be less boring. Because it is kind of boring when you're, you know, just cool, I want to go check out that thing. All right, well, it's 1,300 meters away. All right, well, we're gonna go run for 8 minutes until we get there. And then it's literally just running across like an empty desert for 8 minutes. And I totally get that that would be like a realistic thing of like, cool, hey, if there's a settlement that's a kilometer that way or a mile that way, it would make sense that it takes 5, 8, 10 minutes to run there. But that doesn't mean that it's fun in game. And if we can have space powers, we may as well be able to like run faster and boost faster. If I can't get a little hover bike. Cool. The next thing is, so that was faster land travel. And again, these are all things that I think would be fairly easy to fix. The next thing is more variety of random encounters. So you've seen a couple of them so far. We just saw the Valentine, which is really cool. It's like a ship that's singing sea shanties. Absolutely love it. Great thing they added in. I've ran into in space. I've ran into a guy selling me ship insurance. I've ran into, I think at the beginning of the video you saw, there was like the gay married couple, the two husbands who invited me over to like give me ship parts. I've ran into like a like magic school bus, like a ship full of kids that are like asking questions. You run into some of these little things, but again, there's not a ton of them, so you start seeing them repeated. So I'd like to just see some more random space encounters improved. Also, you could improve random encounters in order to make exploring more interesting. So say that you are wanting to go look at a location, maybe they can program something in where whenever you want to go look at, whenever you start traversing towards a long distance location, they have a ship come down and land in front of you. So that way it's like, oh, cool, I'm on my way. And then it's like, hey, wait, that ship is landing between me and them. Now I have to go engage with that ship. So figure out a way to add in more random encounters, because they do have it where ships will just like land randomly. But the way they have it programmed is the ships are typically, they're landing where it's out of your way and it's kind of an inconvenience to try and get there. So maybe you have to like turn and look up in the sky and be like, oh, there's a ship landing, but they're going to be landing like 500 meters in the other direction. Make it so the ship is landing between me and the location I'm going to. That would be a way that you could improve the exploring and make the space exploration a little more interesting. Is, again, just more random encounters, more variety of random encounters. All right, the next thing is just kind of a little thing, better user interface. The user interface in this game is not great. At the very least, make it faster. It feels slow when you bring it up and then you go to open the menu and then the menu pops up. It just feels slow. So I would like to see a better user interface. And there's already a bunch of mods out there that have, better user interfaces. They've got filters, they've got sorting mechanisms, they've got more details about the items included. They've got all this kind of stuff. They've got ways that make it faster. Bethesda, come on. Just give us an update where at the very least the user face is faster. Because right now it feels slow. Here's an easy one. City maps and dungeon maps. I don't know how they decided to put out a game with big cities without a city map at the very least. And then dungeon maps, like how hard would it be to, like, I like that you have your little like compass thing down here at the bottom. Like, that's kind of cool. It shows me which direction the enemies are. And other than that, it shows me my oxygen, but the rest of it, it doesn't really help. I totally get the info. But can I get like a map of where I am? It shouldn't be that hard to have a little map that like generates as you explore, and just kind of have that up in the corner, whether you want that in like, the upper left or the upper right, or maybe you can move it. But give me an actual map at the very least, like a usable map for when I go into like the map menu so I can look around. Because currently having no maps, I still get lost in New Atlantis and Aquila City. Like Neon, I've basically figured out at this point. It's pretty easy because it's basically one strip and then like the stuff kind of along the way. But like Aquila City, New Atlantis, like I still get lost there trying to find the shop that I want. And it's ridiculous that they don't have a map. Like, seriously, just give me city maps and then give me dungeon maps. It shouldn't be that hard. They should be able to do it. So that's kind of that rant as far as that goes. But yeah, so maps, continuing on to that, give me a star system map with a search feature and filters. Again, like the star system is like 100 star systems. How am I supposed to remember exactly which one of these little white dots has that facility that I was looking for or has the name of where I want to search? Like, oh yeah, I remember this system hearing something about it. Maybe I want to check that out. How do I find that system? Well, you're going to have to move your little scroller over each little dot and hope that you find it. Or maybe just add a search filter to the map. It would make perfect sense to include a search feature with a filter feature. So you can filter by, places that I have explored, places that I have not explored, fully surveyed versus not surveyed, planets and moons that have flora, planets and moons that have fauna, locations that have, an outpost that I've discovered already. I can search by name. I can filter by star system name, planet name. Like, that should be something that you can add into this game. So again, mod community, Bethesda. Let's get this going. Let's improve the star map, the city maps, the dungeon maps, all that kind of stuff. Moving on to the next thing is companions. The companions have been kind of controversial. The 4 main companions that are romanceable, I like them. I don't love all of them. I think that in terms of favorites, Sarah is probably my favorite. I know she's a goody two-shoes, but I really liked her story. I felt an emotional connection with her. She's pretty great. Andresia's great. Barrett was really fun. I was really sad that he died on my playthrough because I had the closest. Little tip. The 2 who you have the most affinity with are the 2 who you have to choose from during that mission. So for me, it was between Barrett and Sarah. I ended up saving Sarah because we were married. Of course, you got to save your wife. Barrett died, but I really liked him. He was fun to have along. I think he had good buffs. Andresia's great. Sam Coe's all right. He's just kind of whiny. Sarah doesn't like anything, but at least she has a really interesting character. But here's the thing: is that they all have the same moral compass. They're all good. Some of them are more goody two shoes than others. But if you want to be a bad character, there's not any romanceable options. There are. I think I've mentioned this in my in other stuff, but there's different tiers of companions. So there's the romanceable companions. Then there's like the named special companions. Then there's the I hope everyone made it out. Then there's like the named people without a backstory where they have like 2 skills, and then there's like the really, really basic, just kind of like weapon specialist dudes. But anyways, give us some like bad companions. I do know that there's a couple of companions that are down with like evil stuff. If I remember correctly, it was like Genevieve or Janine or something, who's a space pirate that will join you after the Crimson Fleet. Same thing with, I think his name is Matthias. If you do that one right at the end of the Crimson Fleet, like he'll be with you. He's a bad guy. I want to say her name is Sophia. She's at a bar in Neon. She's pretty much down with crime. So those are like 3. And and there's also that crazy chef guy that's sitting in the Astral Lounge with like the crazy hair. He's like, I'm a wacky cook, blah. He thinks he's like a hot shot, but it's like give me more of the people who are down with morally questionable stuff, so that if I really want to be a bad guy, I'm not limited. I want more companions with a little bit more variety, if that makes sense. And you know what? If I can only romance the 4, that's okay. But give me another like 5 or 10 like really interesting ones who are down with like shady shit. Where like, hey, if I want to be a pirate and I want to go, just like pirate places and like shoot up outposts and like kill innocent people and steal their shit, like they're like, hell yeah, let's do it. Versus Sarah, where she's instantly gonna like break up with you and like quit the ship. So yeah, More variety of companions, more long quests. I think I already mentioned this, but I'm really looking forward to what they get in the expansions. Bethesda said that they're going to do multiple expansions for this game. So like, I would love a long Va'ruun quest line, you know? Give me the Va'ruun quest line that's, oh gosh, I don't know. Another 15 or 20 missions. Give me 15, 20 missions of really cool, like, Va'ruun stuff. Give me another, you know, give me another half dozen really interesting kind of like side quests. I just want more quests. I don't mind the generic repeatable activities, but those are, again, like 5 or 10 minute fillers. Whereas I want some quality high level quests. That's what I want. All right. Let's see here. Better frame rates. I just started playing Cyberpunk 2077. I understand why people compare it, but to me, they're entirely different games. I understand why it's comparable. But the new Cyberpunk it's pretty awesome. It's fun. When it came out, I wasn't really interested because the reviews, it was so broken and everything. It was basically unplayable and just terrible. Now, though, with everything, it's really fun. I've played about 60 hours in it. Visually, I think it does look better than Starfield in some ways. And definitely the animations are a little bit better. I don't know if there's an easy way to fix that. However, one thing that does impress me is how smooth it is. And I play both these on an Xbox Series X. Cyberpunk, that shit runs smooth. I don't think I've ever noticed any choppiness. It feels like my Xbox is getting like 60 frames a second, just constantly. Starfield, I feel like I'm getting approximately 30, give or take a little bit, and then you notice some choppiness in the bigger cities. But they need to figure out a way to optimize it. I've heard that some of the updates that they've done for PC on the like NVIDIA graphics card have made some improvements, so that's great. I know some people are getting it to like 100 or 120 frames per second on the PC. That's awesome. I'm on Xbox Series X. I did pay for the X because I wanted the better one. I don't even play on the S, but that's a nice helmet. Superior Explorer helmet? Hell yeah, that's a good helmet. Anyways, though, yeah, better frame rates. I don't know how they can optimize it better. I'm not a technical person, but the fact that there's already mods and updates out that have made it better frame rates tells me that they should be able to optimize it better for the system. I would love to see it get to even like a consistent 45, so that way I don't ever feel the choppiness. Give me a consistent 45. If we can get to 60, I would love it. I don't expect it to happen right now, but I would love that if they could do that with an update, sometime in the next like few months, since they're going to be doing these updates every 6 weeks or so. All right. And then, here was something that Camelworks recommended on his A Bestiary. Freaking genius. A Bestiary with like all the information on all the like plants and animals that you discover in survey. Like, how cool would that be to have a bestiary so you know what you're looking for and you have all the information and all that. Definitely check out his video. And another thing that Cyberpunk did really well that I think Bethesda should try to implement is the weapon tiers. I think the way Cyberpunk did it is freaking genius. Basically, they have their different tiers of weapons. I think it's like 1 through 5, tier 1 up to tier 5. And all the generic guns that you can get are at whatever tier they're at. So here we would have, basic, calibrated, refined, advanced, and superior. All right. So you've got your 4 or 5 tiers. Cool. Makes sense. We've got 4 or 5 tiers of guns. Add that to the melee weapons. Dope. And then what they did is that they made it so that all the unique items, right? they made it so that the unique items, you could upgrade those to the next tier using components. We already have weapon modification crafting stations. It shouldn't be that hard to say, hey, you know what? That's actually pretty genius. Is how about on the unique items? Like, obviously we have our tiers, but on the unique items, so like those, you know, the Peacekeeper, Bang Bang or whatever, like those unique items, you can level those up to higher tiers using components at a weapon modification station. It makes perfect sense. So that's one thing where I think they could definitely do, so that it would make it so that when you get those really cool unique items, they don't become totally useless after, you know, 5, 10, 15 hours of gameplay, you know? So anyways, that's something that Cyberpunk did that I think would be really easy to implement in terms of like a weapon tiers. Now, I do have a few final things as we're finishing up of things that I think are going to be kind of hard to fix. Again, everything that I have said so far, we've spent an hour. If you're still with me, shout out to you. Everything that I've said here, these are all things that in my dumb brain, not being a computer programmer and just being a fan, these are all things that I think should be fairly easy to implement via updates, DLC, expansions, and mods. Everything that I mentioned, I think, is something that could definitely be implemented through those ways. We should be able to start seeing a lot of these in the next 6 months or so as the updates come out, the expansions come out, and the modding community gets going. Now, these next couple things I think are going to be difficult. First, load screens. I don't know how you get rid of the load screens. Just straight up, I don't know how you get rid of the load screens. You know, you have to, maybe you could get rid of the cutscenes, like the transition cutscene of like the, hey, like taking off, landing, sitting in my chair, getting up from my chair. You know, like those kind of things. I could see you like cutting those. But some of these load screens, like I don't know how you transition from, you know, I'm at this base here and I'm going to go 8 light years this way without a load screen. I don't know how you do that within the framework of this game. I don't think there is a way to do that. If there is, that'd be great. I don't know if there's a way to get around the load screens. Honestly, the load screens wouldn't even bother me if they did all this other stuff, because it would take this game from like an 8 or a 9 to like a 10, just like straight up, just by implementing the stuff I'm talking about. The second thing that I think is going to be difficult, but I really hope they do, is one of the bummers in this game was that it felt like the quest and faction decisions didn't have a felt impact in the universe. And what I mean by that is that when you sided with the Crimson Fleet and you destroyed UC Sistef, or vice versa, you never noticed anything. It wasn't like all of a sudden, hey, every colony you go to is, hey, you're that wanted criminal pirate, get him! And then you have like a bounty for life, or a massive bounty that you had to pay off, you know, like a 100,000 credit bounty, or like a 1 million credit bounty you had to pay off for destroying UC Sistef. You didn't have that. It was just like, oh yeah, you know, the pirates, they kind of destroyed UC Sistef, meh, and then nothing changed. And then it was like, oh cool, what's up, pirate buddy? You'd see a pirate at a base, and then nothing would change. And then, you know, like when you did the factions, like there wasn't like a felt impact. You know, when you did Ryujin, it wasn't like you did the Ryujin and then what you decided to do determined what you saw. So you didn't start seeing like NPCs with that like headwear going on, like causing shit in the city, or any of that stuff. You know, you'd occasionally get the news alert, but that was it. When you decided what to do about the Terramorphs, it was like you would hear conversations like, oh yeah, it turns out the Terramorphs are actually those stupid little heat leeches. Better kill them. But that was it. It wasn't like, you actually had like a felt impact at all. So I wish there was more of a felt impact based off of your decisions, and there was noticeable consequences. I didn't feel like there was a lot of consequences. And again, these are harder things to fix. I don't know if there's an easy way to fix it, but a lot of these things you can fix. So, I realize we've been going for a long time. I'm actually approaching the end of my video here. So I'm going to go sell my illegal shit to the trade authority because he'll take it. Also get them to turn around. That'd be better. But yeah, so a lot of things, a lot of ideas here. And I realize that not everything can be fixed, but there's a lot of things that Bethesda can improve. And I love this game. I can't wait to see how it's going to grow. Not only has it been just... This game provided so much wonder, and that's the best way that I can describe it is I played a lot of different games in my life. This one provided more wonder for me of a new and unique universe that I haven't really felt in years. So I can't wait to see what it becomes, but I think that's where I'm going to sign off. So I appreciate you for following. If you actually made it to the end, thank you. Like, comment, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. I appreciate all of you. Space Cadet Brian, signing off.